Question. Studies show that students were successful when they utilized varied and more effective learning strategies in their learning. What's your learning strategy? How would you incorporate others? And everyone is unique, and learning that is geared towards students' uniqueness will facilitate greater success. What teaching strategy do you incorporate in your teaching to facilitate students' uniqueness? And the sit down with Donte Nelson and Renaldo McKenzie on writing, learning, and pragmatist dilemma and faith. This is coming up next on the Neoliberal Round podcast with Renaldo McKenzie and
Donte Nelson.
Can worship you for me, no, oh, no. The things God done for me, yeah. No one for me, yeah. Here's my worship. All my worship, yeah. Here's my worship. All my worship. Receive my worship. All my worship, yeah. Oh, receive it, oh God. Oh. This is the Neoliberal Round podcast, and I decided to begin this episode today with Phil Thompson, All My Worship, via YouTube, and I appreciate the opportunity to share that music with you. But today we're looking at several issues. As you think about your life, as you think about where you are and where you are going, I am telling you that there is someone, an experience that is beyond you, that if you tap into that, it will give you the strength and the motivation and the courage to move and to realize your goals. My understanding of that is that there is a God that is than that which nothing greater can be conceived or imagined. So irrespective of what I go through in my life, I am reminded by that and the experiences of God moving in my life as He can move in your life. When you are armed with that mindset, you can accomplish all things. I am telling you, my life has been a life of challenge. But every step of the way, I will say that I have been able to experience the intervention of God moving me. So as we talk about power and the dynamics of society, looking at the challenges of society, some time ago we talked about comedic spirituality. Some people look to cow worship. Some people look to Jesus. Some people look to Allah, to Jehovah, Yahweh, or whatever the experience is. You tap into that, and you will find the motivation that you need, and the intervention is will present itself. So, I tell you, I'm working on this book, Secrets to Unlocking Divine Intervention, which is going to be part 2 of the book, Power, Privilege, Status, and Position, looking at how power and its strategies poses problems for progress and the human dynamics in society. We'll be right back after these messages. In this next segment, coming up on the Neoliberal Round Podcast, Season 4, Episode 8, Donte Nelson is actually the lead host. Of course, he is the co-host and co-producer of this episode of the Neoliberal Round Podcast. But this particular next episode, you will hear him beginning the conversations. And we had a sit-down for about 30 minutes. And we talked about... and rambled on about several different things, but they were quite deep and quite powerful and quite interesting. And I hope that you spend some time to listen to this particular discussion that was facilitated and produced by Mr. Donte Nelson. Here is the next segment coming up: the sit down with Donte Nelson and Renaldo McKenzie. Critical historian. Okay?
Welcome to the sit down with Renaldo McKenzie and Donte Nelson. Wondering about some thoughts that come to mind. And we want to go deeper into what is what.
Oh, I didn't know what deeper into in the idea, different ideas. I mean, we were just having an amazing discussion about several things just now. Well, first of all, talking about how I never had any idea that I would publish a book or that I would write, let alone an academic textbook, 400 pages that is research. And not only that, it was reviewed as being an erudite economic analysis. It was then number 1 in when it just came out on Amazon in deconstructivist history and critical philosophy, and several people have read it and like it. I'm going to be doing a presentation. It's an academic text of October 2012.
Yes, it's a great book. Great book from a great mind, a great professor, a great critical thinker.
Actually, George the poet, who is a poet, he actually also works at the BBC and he does podcasting. I think he got his podcast got an award, podcast award in the UK. But he read my book and I will be having an interview, sit down with him. I think it's October 6th. I apologize.
So, and you guys will hear more about that when that comes. I'm looking forward to that. But he said that it was one of the best books he's ever, one of the best books he's read so far in terms of its treatment of post-independent Jamaica and the post-colonial world, looking at the global south, global north dynamic and how these post-independent, post-colonial countries have to navigate and deal with that. And but of course, the book is a two-part book. There's a second part of the book, part two. I mean, the second part of this book one here looks at the American scenario and look at the efficacy of the resistance movement. I'll go deeper into it in the second edition, which is about to come out, nearly well considered. But I mean, the idea of this whole discussion is saying that I didn't know anything about until I met up with a professor. It wasn't, when I was at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, and I take my learning very seriously. I'm very strategic with how I learn. I take my learning seriously. Not only am I seeking to get an A or a B, I'm seeking to learn. I grew up in humble beginnings. I grew up where knowledge, there was not much information, and I had a thirst for knowledge. My mom would tell you, when I was a little boy, and she worked at the library at the time. She worked at the library for years. She worked as a senior library official. I think she worked she was deputy assistant to the chief of staff or something like that. But I always wanted to get non-fiction books, and she's like, "Why are you always taking non-fiction books?" And I'm like, "Okay, fine." I read the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew and Charlie, the Chocolate Factory. Of course, later on I read other books, but I love that. But I never thought that I would write. I never thought I would. But now writing is easy for me now. I find writing easy, and when I sit down to write, I think about it in a particular, because let me tell you, writing is a skill that you develop. It's not something that comes easy. You have to develop the writing, and you have to read. He said you can't write if you haven't read, because you see how people write, you see how, and then you engage society and humanity, and and I'm a student of liberal arts and liberal studies. I tell people, so it's I mean, when my professor asked me said that he's going to give us bonus points if we write in this ethics class, if we submit a letter to the Dean and get it to the major newspaper and get it published. Right. Jumped at it because I wanted that extra bonus point. I don't mind. I love to work, and I submitted the paper. The letter was letter of the day.
And what's crazy, I would have been another student just hearing, the prize and the work that was put forth, and I would have just watched a student just be excited to take on that task, knowing that I would have wanted to try, but I didn't push myself to and put up their hand first. I wish things were different. I wish I took raised their hand, just a little quicker, or just will raise their hand, period.
Yeah.
Because I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
But why am I thinking? I'm thinking because I want to do it and I want to know, but I'm starting to overthink it.
Yes. Yeah.
My thinking process is taking too long when I have already thought of something. Why am I thinking beyond, beyond that? Now it's messing up. They were starting to mess up my whole, that confidence that I had already, and it started to have me in doubt a little without me even knowing, because I'm just saying, oh, okay, well, that's not for me, but how would I know it's not for me?
It's not for you. I mean,
as far as yes,
acapella. I mean,
no, as far as just the work, just going ahead and doing the extra credit work.
Yeah,
because I would just do assignments that would be assigned to me, and that the extra credit would be you know, like essays and this and that and so forth, and I wouldn't push myself to, you know, like to accomplish writing essays. I would write essays, but it wouldn't be in perfect form. I would have to go back and edit, you know, and fix my quotation marks and fix my grammar. But if I would have done that, I would have improved my writing.
Yes. You know, it's a process though. It's not the one. It's something you have to develop, and you have to think about. You think about your audience, but you also think about you. You think about when you read something. What are you looking for? And then sometimes people don't know what they're looking for because they haven't developed that aspect of themselves. But then, you know, but I said to you, but anyways, I jumped at that idea. And of course we did talk about ethical dilemmas, which is damned if you do, damned if you don't, and how a kind of American pragmatism helps to create dilemmas and the general evaluations that people put on things and the benefits to be derived also helps to make that dilemma starker, you know. But anyways, of course we talk about preserving a life is the highest ethic. But anyways, moving beyond that. So here we are now. I'm writing a second book. And of course I give God thanks for people like Rita Bernard, and Rita Bernard is at Penn Life, Cinema and Globalization. Like, she was amazing. People like Martin Oppenheimer, Walter Litt, Philippe Bourgeois. These people, man. I mean, I'm telling you, at Penn I can name the professors who really influenced me. The fact that I can call their names easily. Those people who I just called, they were fundamental to developing and shaping my mind, helping to bring polish to my, because I was always radical and challenging and thought and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But they really brought a little bit more intellectualism and academia out of me. And when, of course, and I'm a little bit, okay, but I also think in terms of youth. I also think in terms of tectonic way, the 21st century, you know, being flexible, moving beyond traditionalism and stuff, you know.
Yeah, because I can say so as well. Like, now that I'm in college, I'm back in college and, you know, going forth and actually doing my major, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited. Because I've been trying to get back to school since 2019. I just lost. I lost faith in it. And, you know, I was doing a lot of talking to academic advisors and everything, like applications and everything. Like, I wanted to get back into school. I just felt like I'm just tearing my life apart. Like, I'm hanging around in a crowd.
Well, I tell every person should,
You know.
if you have an opportunity to go to college, you should. And some people's education and how they performed in high school doesn't prepare them for college. But that is why people like those should have very strong people in their lives to help them. Strong mentors, strong support. Okay, to whom much is given, much is required. So I believe that I'm a strong support in your life to help guide you. I'm sick. Okay, you will complete college. Okay, and I will fill the gap. God has blessed me tremendously. Okay, I teach college students sometimes, and I'm going to ensure that you get through your college work and that you pass. And
I believe that you are a blessing in my life.
Of course,
I do.
All right. I mean, I am not rich, but I am rich.
Okay, and He didn't bring you in my life to fill or to handle my financial
Right.
my financial problem. He brought you in to fill the hole that I have within me. And I believe that deeply.
Well, you know, I told you earlier, I'm a man of faith. I prayed, and here you are. Okay. I'm telling you, when I pray, things happen, and people think I am joking when I say that. when I pray, things happen. Sometimes it happens right away, and sometimes it doesn't happen because you know what? God said that's not the prayer I want for you. So then over time the prayer changes, and then I ask Him, and then it changes right away. And then, that's not the prayer I have for you. Let's hold out a little bit longer. And then your prayer changes. And then when your prayer changes, then I'm telling you, people don't. I mean, and I shouldn't speak, and I'm not speaking. Well, that's my experience for myself.
No, sorry to cut you off, but when you had brought up praying,
Yes.
you know, like you pray for what you pray for forgiveness and this and that. I used to do that a lot. I've started, and you know, to pray. I've never lost my faith, but I've started to pray.
Yeah.
I've started to speak to my Father. You know, on one-on-one occasions, but I don't know why I have stopped. And it's crazy because I'm about to get somewhere where I'm going, and I'm already thinking. I say that my Father God, He can't handle certain things, He can't resolve certain things. Yeah. But I tell myself, and I know that He can do all things. So, am I contradicting myself by saying I have faith and telling myself that He can't come in between situations and resolve it and make it okay, when I know that He can do all things?
Yes. Yeah, I think one day we had a little discussion about that. Yes. Of course, God can do all things. And because I know that, that is what has helped and that has guided me and that has kept me strong. You know, sometimes people see me and they say, why do you do things? Why do you go out of a limb to do something?
Yeah.
You know? But God is guiding me and taking me to where He wants me to be and what He wants me to do. And I prayed a prayer when I was a little boy, and that is exactly what's happening. I'm telling you. I remember when I was 16, I was in my bedroom, and I said, Mom, I'm confused. I don't know what I want to do with my life. She said, just go out and pray and read the scriptures and ask God what you want to ask God. So I said, okay. 16 years old now, and at 16 I was such a young man of prayer and faith. And I was praying, and I was praying for hours in my bedroom, crying and seeking and asking God if you are there, that if you are, and I had a sense of the divine, that which is beyond, that which is bigger than me, you know.
Yes.
I had a sense of that. And so I prayed and I read the scriptures, and it's as if I went, sometimes whether coincidentally or whether by the Spirit, I got to a scripture and I read it. And it said, you shall go to the north. Something about going to the north.
You shall go to the north.
You shall go to the north. And you shall invest in my people. And you shall do great things in my name. I will never forget that. And when I was reading, and I as if God was speaking, as if I sensed God speaking to me, and I sensed I cannot explain it. It was many years ago. I just got that, and I went to my mom and said, "God, Mom, I don't understand." I said, "Okay, I think I finally got the answer. I'm reading it. I'm confused. I have no intention of going to the U.S. or Canada or anything like that. But I sense, and I heard a voice saying that I'm going to be living in the U.S. or something. I'm going to the North to do ministry or to do work there. And that's weird. I have no intention. I did not want to live in the U.S. I did not want to leave Jamaica. I thought I was going to do ministry in Jamaica and work in Jamaica. And I never had no iota. Even after that experience, I forgot about it. And, I had an opportunity to come to the U.S. and I turned it down. And my mom was like, "Well, why didn't you apply? Why didn't you?" I said, "I'm just not ready yet. I'm just not about that yet right now." And I finished my degree, and then I became a pastor after I joined that ministry of formation at the United Church and became a pastor. And then I went to Cayman Islands and, did some mission work in St. Lucia, did some work in Then I got an opportunity to go to Missouri. I'm like, wow, all of a sudden, it just happened that here am I now in Missouri, but still never remember that. And it was just an exchange. I was just an exchange student. I was studying to be a pastor, and that was part of the, after I got my bachelor's, and that was...
Wait, where? Exchange student where?
But it's an exchange program, so to speak, because I finished my degree, my first degree. Then when you to be a pastor, you don't just graduate from college. You have to go through a ministerial formation program. I did another year of college, and then I also did a ministerial formation. And part of that experience was going to do an international program. So I went to Church of Scotland, Africa. I went to the U.S. because I was in youth ministry, and I went to develop, and they also want the church in Jamaica wanted to develop the denomination. They wanted to develop the youth ministry program, and it's also a way to look at how they do camping and other programs, and also to share how we do camps and programs and stuff. It was very experiential. I learned how to do low group activities, high group activities, how to facilitate archery and various camp activities like archery, rowing. I was a lifeguard, swimming. It was really good. It was great.
I've always wanted to be a lifeguard when I was younger.
Yeah,
but I never knew how to swim.
Well, I did all of that,
So who am I going to save?
It was really good. And then I came back to Jamaica. Went back to Jamaica, and then I had a major incident happen with me, and I had to come to the U.S. and I've been here ever since, and it's been great. It hasn't been easy though. I've had a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges, but I'm telling you, God has been there. And when I needed Him, and I said, "Oh my, God is always there, guiding me." Always. And so I must give God thanks for where I am and what He's doing in my life and what's next in my life. And there's so much happening. I took a break from Georgetown again this semester. I'm hoping to get into Japan probably to get them to pay for my tuition at my study through a PhD in communication, since my journeys has now taken me to doing a lot of work in communication. with the podcast and journals and commentaries and books. One book and another book coming out, and several other manuscripts on the way. I mean, I want to develop my communication, extend that. Quite interesting, quite powerful. But I was saying when you stepped away just now, how
excuse me,
God has been with me every step of the way. You know, I was saying to you that I left the exchange program, came back to Jamaica, and of course I was ordained, became a minister. Was ordained finally, and served as pastor, and then it was, an amazing experience. But I don't think I was fully developed. I made some decisions that pissed off some people, and when I think about it now, I'm like, I would not have made those decisions. But I was not mature as a pastor. I became a pastor when I was a senior pastor. I was leading and hope a major congregation in Jamaica. A church that is considered one of the top churches. You know what I mean? You have a lot of professionals and so on. Although my work with that church was, I did a lot of innovative things. I created a clinic. There are a lot of doctors in the church, and the church grew. A lot of people started. Young people had a lot of activities. It was just a lot happening. People were writing us checks because of we were doing a lot of outreach, and it was an amazing time. And I had a lot of things planned, but there was a lot of internal infighting. A lot of things going on in the church, and some people didn't like a particular kind of crowd. It's just how people think racially. Some white people don't want some black people to. It's like some black, even amongst black people, and that's why when I started thinking about this whole idea, my studies about race is a pseudoscience. There's the issue of race is even when you go within the race, there's also this issue of classism. There's always this level of privilege. The issue of, and that's why I'm studying privilege now. But within the church, there's this issue of privilege. Some black people don't want educated black people, or black people of a certain pedigree don't want some other black people to worship with them, or they're from the hood. Why we have to? Okay, yeah, we can do outreach to them. One church lady said to me, we can do outreach to them, but they don't have to be members. We can have them go to another church. Okay. But church is also part of culture, so I understand people, they're cultural bases, a cultural people. So it wasn't that, and now I think about it, I said to myself, I thought it was bad at the time, she was not being godly, but in a sense, we create the ideas of God in a sense, but people have cultural biases and cultural ways, and so there are people who think that, well, she's from a different culture. If they come into our church, they might change the culture of the church, and they want to preserve the culture of the church. So if we get these people in, we may probably have them go to a different church that may share the same culture. So she was afraid that the culture and the way of worship, the way they would communicate with God and so on, would change. And that's what's happening in society today, when people think about in America today, the majority is going to be part of the minority, and the minority is going to be part of the majority. People are thinking the culture might change, the way of things might change, and so on and so forth. So these are real fears that people have, So these are some of the things that we have to contend with, and not just that, but as I was saying, and I'm saying a lot,
I'm saying a lot, I'm saying a lot actually, and but I'm 43 years old, and I have been everywhere, and I've experienced a lot in my young life. I've done it all. I've worked in every different factors of the professional world, from the highest levels to the lowest levels, and in between. And I've oftentimes said that my father was a jack of all trades. I remember he built a car from scratch. He built our house from scratch, designed it, built the roof, designed the roofing, built the furnishing. Not just designed it, but built it, and it was quite unique. He was a musician. He was a pastor. I mean, he could do. I mean, it was just that he ran a business, and I have some of that pedigree. A musician and writing, and it's just very dynamic, and I give God thanks for my father and how he invested in me, and a lot of boys and men lack that today in today's world, today's society. This fear of this, also this homophobia as well, is when men and boys would come together and have conversations, and now it's been replaced in Grand Theft Auto and video games, and social media, but people can still social media and have, and then again, this Grand Theft Auto is now creating the kind of thefts that's happening in society everywhere, and then again, and not only that, as you find that more theft happening in society, it's as if it's becoming contagious. Everybody, or a lot of young boys, it's become the fashionable thing now to steal cars. But my story is just quite powerful. I've been through so much in my life, and I've been through so much in my life, and I continue to work hard and to benefit from God's investment in my mind as I continue to dissect society and to develop ideas. As we continue to provide ways or tips in which students, and especially college students, can have improvements or have success or experience success in terms of realizing their goals, we have been sharing some segments in our episodes that looks at college success, and I think on the previous episodes we looked at developing a college mindset for college success, and my co-host Donte Nelson, who is doing a course at Capella University looking at this very same issue, looking at psychology and developing that college mindset, but he's been sharing some of his discussions and producing some of these podcasts that facilitate discussions that looking at how one's self-determination, how one's attitude, one's attitude, your evaluations about certain ideas and about certain things, how one's attitude affect one's altitude. And we've been talking about one's how it affects your success, and we've been talking about studies are showing that, say for example, Han Cheon-Woo and others, that looks at the effects of academic mindset on college student achievement and retention, and they produced a journal looking at how this college mindset can positively affect, having a positive mindset and a self-concept and attitude can affect one's ability to be able to meet and to adjust to challenges and obstacles. And of course, So today we want to look at learning strategies, moving beyond a college mindset towards success, and we want to look into learning strategies for college success. And this week I learned that students were successful when they used varied and more effective learning strategies. And that's according to Simsek and Baladan in their 2010 article entitled Learning Strategies of Successful and Unsuccessful University Students in the journal Contemporary Educational Technologies. And it is volume 1, issue number 1, January 2010, pages 36 to 45. But from that article, I learned that the students were successful when they used varied and more effective learning strategies. Now, that was according to Simsek and others in their 2010 study among 278 undergraduate students at a university in Turkey. The study's conclusion was supported by previous studies in the field by various researchers and social scientists such as Cho and Han in 2003, Paris and Myers in 1981, and Tate and Enhisel in 1996, which Simsek and Baladan reference in their report of their study. They all came to the same conclusion, that is convincing enough to want to include learning strategies in my own work and college journey. And as we think about this, we have to think about it two-pronged. When you think about the learning experience is not just the student. The learning experience is also the teacher, who now must understand that his or her role is a facilitator. Now, Simsek also shared the learning strategies, which included 1, rehearsal, which is identifying and repeating important concepts, taking personal notes and memorizing. 2, elaboration, which is going beyond the given content, using new words, making comparisons, mental imaging, and writing questions. 3, organization, which includes reviewing and restructuring information, creating tables and classifying or listing. 4 is the metacognitive, which I describe as the unexamined life is not worth living, which is Socrates here. And the metacognitive is the reflective and introspective part where you daily critique and adjust self and strategies. But, some people can get overly critical of themselves. So then there is number 5, which is motivational, which deals with reducing stress and redirecting anxiety. The authors had directing, but I will use redirecting. And it also involves, say for example, one of the ways you reduce stress probably you have to be more organized, so you create timetables or in terms of looking at time management, developing your time management skills, developing interests, and so on. Now, as I read, I thought about it, and I believe I use a lot of rehearsal and elaboration strategies, and it's probably too hard on myself with the metacognitive, but I can do more to add the other strategies and even improve on those that I'm already using. The final takeaway that I was left with in the reading of this article, in addition to the fact that using better and more varied learning strategies is vital for my success, is the idea that everyone is unique, and learning that is geared towards students' uniqueness will lead to greater success. But importantly, is this question that we are left with. And before I continue, the study that we reference does not show why students use a particular kind of learning strategy. And the second thing is that we know that the studies suggest that found that females were more effective in utilizing better and more varied learning strategies than males. And of course, the results also suggest that females were more successful than males in terms of their learning, because they were able to use more varied strategies. We're not sure why that's the case. Now, question: which of these identified strategies do you use? I'm talking about the motivational, the metacognitive, the organization, the elaboration, or the rehearsal. Which of these strategies do you use and which can you incorporate more in your learning. Now, importantly, learning involves faith. And I will conclude here. Learning involves faith. I believe that I can do all things through Christ. Now, the readings concerning learning and learning goals were organized around the concept that learning is not a heavy-handed or top-down approach that relies on the teacher. And that is why I particularly am very happy that online programs such as Capella could organize in their teaching, beginning with looking at developing the students' self-confidence, developing the students' self-concept, developing the students' college identity and college mindset, and the readings is geared towards learning involves faith. I believe that I can do all things through Christ. Learning is not a heavy-handed or a top-down approach that relies on the teacher. In fact, teaching seems to be a facilitative role in learning, especially in online learning, where the students at the collegiate levels have the power to chart their own course and are ultimately responsible for their learning and their success, guided by the professor, who is a facilitator. It is quite interesting living what is being read, as my academic mentor has been helping me with implementing learning strategies, especially using rehearsal, elaboration, and organizational strategies, as advanced by Ali Simsek and others in the PDF article entitled Learning Strategies of Successful and Unsuccessful University Students. As someone who needs lots of catching up and adjustment, it is also great to have a major support such as a mentor to guide that face-to-face support and motivation, which J.N. Gardner and B.O. Barefoot in their work, Understanding Your College Experience, Strategies for Success, 3rd edition. Others suggested are just as vital in succeeding college. Simsek and others, based their study conducted among college undergraduate students, concluded that students who use effective strategies and have support and motivation seem to do better than others who don't. The article goes on to say that this may stem from having past experiences of utilizing strategies of having the right support around you, and drove home the point that self-determination and belief in self is vital. Indeed, it is also a matter of faith. I believe that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13. And this faith relies on action and responsibility. By Donte T. Nelson, inspired by Renaldo McKenzie.